Alright, it's Thanksgiving, so the market's not open today. I was thinking tomorrow was Thanksgiving because tomorrow's the 28th. But I guess Thanksgiving's on a Thursday every year, not on the 28th of every year. I don't know. Some of these holidays confuse me. So, the market's not open. Crypto might be. I think crypto never closes. It's like 24/7. So, I usually do crypto on the weekends. Or I try to focus on crypto on the weekends to give me something to do, since I can't do stocks on the weekends. If I'm not home. If I'm home, I'm usually busy on the farm. But anyway, I figured today, I was gonna do this yesterday, but I forgot. Or maybe, I don't know when I was gonna do this, yesterday or the day before. So, I've done this prior, but I'm gonna do this on my daily now. Now, I started probably in 2021, just after COVID. During COVID, I was really, I've been saying this for over a decade, but during COVID, it really hit home for me. And, I'm a freedom fighter, 3%er, conspiracy theorist, whatever you want to call me, and prepper, survivalist type person. And I've been saying for many moons that, well, okay, first off, back in 2007-ish, myself, along with a bunch of other patriots, if you will, were fighting the Real ID Act and the RFID chip scenario. And we prolonged the inevitable. It's pretty much here now. As of next year, I think everybody pretty much has to have it, or as of 2028, I think. But, Agenda 2030. So, they're pushing it hardcore to get what they want. And, I preach about, during COVID, I was preaching against the vaccine and whatever. And, but nobody would listen or whatever. It's like people, I would talk about how the mask didn't really work and stuff like that. Nobody listened. Not nobody, but most people didn't listen. They realized after the fact, a lot of them, that we were right. But during the fact, they were like, you guys are stupid. So I kept saying to myself, and even out loud to some of my people, I was like, I should put some money, I should invest money into the stocks of the things that I'm preaching against. And then that way, if those people are stupid and they don't listen to me, then they make me a lot of money. Well, maybe not a lot of money, but they make me money. And if they do listen to me and I don't make money, at least we still have our freedom and our liberty. So around 2021, when I realized that Cash App had stock options, I started playing with it, and I started implementing my theory. Not just that, but other things as well, like buying carbon credit stocks. Now I pretty much try to just buy carbon credit stocks that pay a dividend. So I started with Cash App, so it doesn't show any revenue from Cash App on this, because I can't link this up with Cash App. But what you can see is what I started doing in 2022. In 2022, and I really wasn't making a lot of money at Cash App at the time. 2021, 2022, was still learning. I probably lost more money the first 2 years than I actually made. So, 2022, I made about $3.46. Not a lot of money. You might say I made 3 times or 4 times that, considering what I might have made on Cash App. You know, or maybe throw a 0 on that. Maybe I made 10 times that. Not a lot, $30 maybe. So, my first stocks at Cash App, at Robinhood, was IRS, Zem, BTC, and Unite. Well, I didn't make any money on Unite or Bitcoin BTC. I made 1 penny at the IRS, or the IRS stock ticker, and then I made most of my money off Zim. So, yeah, that was my first year at Robinhood, anyways. Like I said, I made some money at Cash App, but not a lot. So, for those who are just starting out, don't get discouraged. This is when I really started moving over to Robinhood. So, I probably made most of my money on Zim at the time. So I only made $400 this year of 2023. It wasn't until 2024 that I started figuring out what I was doing and started figuring out my strategy. Now my strategy's changed over time, and there's different things you got to look at, like earnings per share and so on and so forth. That's another thing I didn't mention in the last few videos. You know, this old dividend tracker that I used to use used to tell me the earnings per share, EPS, but a lot of times websites don't tell you that. They tell you the PE ratio. Well, I haven't figured out how to read the PE ratio yet, so I just try to focus on the earnings per share. It's easier to read, easier to understand. If the earnings per share is higher than the actual share price, then if the earnings per share are higher than what they're paying out in dividends or something like that, I can't remember, it's been a minute since I used it, but you know, the share might cost, hang on, let me see if I can find something tangible. Okay, BTF. There's no updates. That's the problem with this app. This app is obsolete. Okay. So like this one, their earnings per share is in a negative 73 cents. So this is not a good investment to invest in because they're losing money. Assholes won't let me stock, you want to look at their 5-year history, see what their 5-year history is. There's a lot of things to look at. The Minority Mindset guy talks about looking at things like the CEO and what their track record is, and if they're going to take the company somewhere great or if they're going to run the company into the ground. You never really know. And it depends on how much you want to actually investigate the company. Anyway, so there's a lot of things to look at when evaluating a company. Especially if you're day trading. Day trading's a lot harder, I think. So anyways, so yeah, 2023, not counting Cash App, I was only making about $400 a year. We'll say maybe 500 tops. All right. Made about 300 on Zim. Did make some decent money on PBR day trading with Cash App, but like I said, I just started kind of moving over to Robinhood at this time. Now at the end of 2023, I ended up cashing out a lot of stocks because that year I got off the road and I wasn't making as much money. I was actually losing money, and I ended up having to go back out on the road. So at the end of the year, I ended up having to cash out some of my stocks. Quite a bit, actually, just to stay afloat. And so I'm trying not to ever get myself in a situation where I got to do that again. So, yeah. So I was making about $33 a month in 2023. 2024 is when I really started moving everything over to Robinhood and started using Robinhood as my primary. This says that my monthly average was only $51. But like I said, that wasn't counting Cash App. So I must have had more money coming in on dividends with Cash App than I realized, because my other one that I used to use I deleted a bunch of stuff. Oh, wait. Combine. Why ain't this working? Okay, that app is broken. Well, anyways, I think I was up to 111 or 100, I don't know. It was 100 and something a month. Basically, I think it was double what this is saying. So I had about maybe $50 a month coming in with dividends on Cash App, and about $50 a month coming in on dividends from Robinhood. I'm not sure when I started using Webull, but basically what I started doing was I was using Robinhood as my primary, and then I was using Cash App as my secondary. Robinhood didn't let you buy everything, and Cash App didn't let you buy everything, but they would let you buy most everything between the two of them. And then there was some things neither one let you get, so then I would use Webull as my third option. Now I'm kind of phasing out Cash App because this app isn't compatible with Cash App, or vice versa, and so I'm using Robinhood as my primary and Webull as my secondary. But I think I started doing that in 2025. So yeah. So I had my annual income up to $613 a year by the end of 2024, I believe. If I understand how this works properly, that's where I was. Now, as of 2025, now December hasn't hit yet, but this is saying that this year I will have made $2,400 in dividends, and my monthly average is $200 this year. Now, so that's what I've made so far. It's not what I'm gonna make in the future. But I'm gradually doing better. I mean, I've basically tripled. Let's see, what was I? 600? Yeah, 600. Now I'm at 2,400. So let's go to the calculator. 2,400 divided by 600. Yeah, 4 times. I could have done that in my head. It's funny, after I just did the calculation, I realized, duh, 6 times 4 is 24. But anyways, I'm a little slow sometimes. So, I've 4x'd my dividends. Now, previous video, I said that I 3x'd my dividends, but according to my calculations, it was 3.5. So, according to this, I've 4x'd my dividends. So I guess that's what I'll title the video, is I've 4x'd my dividends. But anyways, so yeah, from this day forward, for the next year, according to what I have in stocks right now, if I don't cash anything out and I don't buy anything new, my dividends will be $4,595. It's basically $4,600. Not too bad. That's almost double what I've already done so far this year. Not bad. If I just keep dumping that money back in and keep reinvesting my dividends and adding to it, I'll probably double it again. So 2026. Yeah, basically about the same. And like I said, that's provided I don't invest anymore. I basically almost duplicated 1 month of my income. My income is about $5,000 a month. So I try to live as cheap as possible right now. So I don't live like a pauper, but I still try to live as cheap as possible and only buy what I absolutely need or what I absolutely want, so that I can invest as much as I can, so I can be like Dave Ramsey, live like no one else today, so I can live like no one else tomorrow. So I'm still doing other investments, taking care of my livestock, taking care of my home. I eat well, I don't starve, that's for damn sure. I probably waste more food than I actually eat. But that's because mostly, like, people think that I eat a lot of junk food. And the problem is I crave it, so I buy it. But I don't, like, eat it all in, like, one sitting or in 2 sittings. It might last me months, and it'll go bad before I even finish it, and I usually just throw it out. So, like, I got M&Ms from, I don't know, early this year, maybe last year, and I just added some more to them that I still haven't touched, yeah, but the M&Ms were given to me. The new ones that I just added to were given to me, so I didn't buy those. But I mean, yeah, I'll sit on junk food for a long time. I do have a sweet tooth, but I don't eat it as fast or as much as I crave it. Let's put it that way. So I'm pretty good about that. I try to eat healthy, and I do eat healthy for the most part. I take a lot of herbs and stuff like that. But and I also buy a lot of drink. I got more fluids in the truck than I do food. And it's been in the truck for most of the year. And I slowly get around to it. I tried a bunch of those probiotic soda drinks. They all pretty much sucked except for the lime one. The lime ones are okay. Lemon lime. But all the rest of them, I wouldn't buy them again. But anyways, I do buy things like that out of, curiosity and whatnot. But I'm not typically one to waste money. But I'm not starving by all means. I make good money. I try to save and invest as much of it as I can. I have some debt. I try to pay down as much of my debt as I possibly can while investing. I know the minority mindset guy says, don't invest until you pay off your debt, or at least your credit cards and your pickup trucks. And I say, if I do that, I'll probably never invest. So I'm investing in stuff that pays more dividend yield than the interest rate on my debt. So I put about 10 to 15% of my money into high yielding dividend stocks while I'm paying down my debt. That way I feel like I'm accomplishing something. And then once I get my debt paid off, then say like my credit card's 20%. Well, my new credit card's 20%. So technically it's 19. So right now I'm investing in anything that pays more than 20%. I do buy lower yielding stock stuff, but not as much. Most of my money that I do invest goes into higher yielding dividend stocks, 20% or better.
Take the first exit on the right.
But I do occasionally buy some other stocks that are lower than 20%. And then once I get the credit cards paid down, which is, I'm getting pretty close. I got one paid down. The other one's still a little high, but I just got the new credit card where I'm going to transfer the balance to that. So my interest is going to be 20 or 19% instead of 24%. So I'm going to save 4% right there. And then when you do a balance transfer, you only pay 4% on that. And then I'll only have to pay the 19% on the new stuff that I put on the card. So as long as I'm taking the majority of my paycheck and putting it towards my debt, and I'm still investing 10 to 15% into the high yielding stocks, then I'm okay. You know, I'm trying not to get carried away. And I do look at the stocks, and I do invest in the ones that do seem to be more dependable, more stable.
Take the next right onto Enterprise Drive. Turn at the first right onto Enterprise Drive.
So, anyways, I'm almost to my customer. Happy Thanksgiving, and I don't think the stock market's going to be open again until Monday, so I probably won't make another video till Monday. But anyways, all right, I guess that's it for this week. We'll talk to you later. Thanks, bye. My GPS is going crazy. It's like it's trying to recalculate.
Head northeast toward Enterprise Drive.
Okay, now I figured out what I'm doing. Maybe.
Take the next right onto Enterprise Drive.
I gotta run over here to the bathroom before I go to the customer. Because they don't have bathrooms, I don't think. I think they just have outhouses. And I can't stand outhouses. Or porta potties. I'd rather use an outhouse than I would a porta potty. Both are kind of gross. Depends on the outhouse. But
head northeast toward Enterprise Drive.
I know you gotta do what you gotta do, but I don't gotta use one. I can go over here to this gas station across the street from the McDonald's that has truck parking, so that's where I'm going. Anyhow, let me do my logbook real quick. Restroom. I always put that in there so they know I'm not fucking off. I'm actually stopping for a legit reason. Some dispatchers are a pain in the ass. So yeah, this is where I am today. Actually, let's go back to 2025. This is where I'm at today. That's where I'm at. Oops. This is where I'm at tomorrow, next year. So far, that's gonna probably double. this is where I'm at this year. This is where I was at last year. Quite a big jump. This is where I was at the year before. Not much better. But like I said, this is when I was still in my learning phase. And then 2022. So, I've come a long ways. Alright, I gotta go. Bye.